It's good.
All is well.
Nobody should see it, though.
I'm going to blame Willie.
But I didn't want to not say nothing and then you see it and be like, well, why nobody told me?
I'm going to blame Willie.
Blame him.
These are
But when I
Willie's
get
eyelashes.
lashes by Nava, you'll be able to. Eyelashes don't fall off. Guaranteed.
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 Welcome to Americana. We're back with the latest updates on the 2024 presidential election. I'm your moderator, Raquel Herring, joined by our Democratic host, Shakia Moore, and our Republican host, Willie Montague. With only 15 days, oh my gosh, it is going fast, left until Election Day. The race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is neck and neck. Let's dive into today's major campaign highlights and see what's happening on the trail. Vice President Kamala Harris has teamed up with former Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney for a strategic Blue Wall tour aiming to sway undecided independents and moderate Republicans in key swing states. As the election draws near, Harris is focusing on pivotal suburban counties in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, states that proved decisive in both the 2016 and 2020 elections. Shakia, talk about how Harris's outreach to moderate Republicans and independents could tip the balance in her favor in these final weeks before the election.
I think that it's a very strategic approach. I mean, she has to win the 53% of the white women that voted for Trump in 2016 some way. And this is a very slow and steady race. But, you know, Donald Trump, if he continues to talk about a dead man's genitalia on his campaign trail, it just makes it easier for those moderate voters who would typically vote Republican to just come on over and vote for Democrat. So I'm really excited to see what this is going to produce for her. I think it's genius, the two of them together. It is a great balance, you know, because Liz Cheney is a true Republican. She's not a MAGA or a dark MAGA. She is a true Republican, a conservative Republican. And so I think it's a very wise choice. And so we'll see.
Willie.
Liz Cheney is one of those family members you never invite to the cookout. She is an absolute sellout. She is a loser.
Oh.
And I believe that her going along with VP Harris just shows that she couldn't get the attention that she needed to maintain and keep her job and was ousted by the Republican Party. And so I think that her getting behind her is just her trying to wag her tail to stay in the fight, but every dog can have a bone.
So he literally, he is
exactly
comparing a woman
Wow.
to the species of a dog, which is the same rhetoric that the Republican Party said about the immigrants in Ohio. So they compare folks who oppose their legislation and their policies, and they demean them. Like, this is just normal and typical behavior for Republicans.
I'm not demeaning her. I'm just simply stating.
You call her a coward?
She's a coward. She's
you compared her to a dog?
She's wagging her tail.
This is crazy.
What I'm trying to say is she's not invited to the cookout. She has been excommunicado, John Wick style, okay?
Former President Donald Trump stepped into an unexpected role on Sunday, serving up French fries at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania while taking verbal jabs at Vice President Kamala Harris. The event drew thousands of Trump supporters, and he spent the afternoon behind the counter following his accusations that Harris has lied about her experience working at the fast food chain. Let's take a look.
Mr. Trump, why did you feel it was important to come here today?
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's. I pull.
Exactly, and we're hooking right onto there.
Okay, shake a little bit.
Now, this is quite an unconventional approach, mixing fast food with political jabs. Willie, explain how Donald Trump working at McDonald's will resonate with voters as the election approaches.
If anyone can pull off what it is to get down in the nitty-gritty with the common folks, it is President Donald John Trump. What he did was to go and prove that what Harris says she did, and as he said, he actually worked 15 more minutes than her supposed of working in the fry vat. So I think that this shows, and this will show other people, he doesn't mind getting out there. You can call it a stunt, you can call it whatever it wants, but I guarantee you that you have had nobody else that is going to go out there and put on an apron and literally go stand over fry vat.
This literally proves that this man, Donald Trump, is obsessed with VP Harris. Who in their right mind, well, I'm not even gonna go too deep into that. Let's just stick with the facts. Donald Trump is a man who doesn't believe in giving workers overtime pay, okay? He is literally a man that doesn't even value common workers. Like, this is pandering at its finest. I honestly believe that he's just testing this out for when he is convicted and put in prison to serve his cellmates fries and cold beverages. Like, this is literally a tryout for what he'll be doing in a couple of months. So honestly, I just feel like this is a disgrace. It's mocking people, everyday working people, for you to stay a billionaire who doesn't believe in overtime pay and increasing the salary wage, the minimum wage for people. You want to go and just toss fries to prove a point that Kamala Harris worked at McDonald's? Man, bye.
Fake news.
How is that fake?
He literally wants to remove the tax on overtime pay. So how would
Let's
he not
talk about taxes, because the Republican Party wants to add tariffs to this country, and their meaning of tariffs will actually hurt the economy. So let's not even talk about that tonight.
We don't want to add tariffs to the country.
That is not the topic of discussion.
This is tariffs to individuals.
We are talking about
and the
Donald Trump
in here.
and his pandering tactics and his obsession with Kamala Harris.
We're going to talk about that in some coming episodes. We're definitely going to hit that. We've got the latest updates from the campaign trail, so stay tuned. Now it's time to switch gears and move on to political programs. Voters have been hearing the term Project 2025 mentioned more frequently by President Biden, Vice President Harris, and other Democrats as they raise concerns about what a second Trump term could mean, especially in leading up to November's election. Shakia, can you explain what's at stake with Project 2025, particularly when it comes to education?
I am still trying to wrap my head around what Project 2025 truly is, but it's literally, in sum, it's a playbook for the Republican Party to annihilate the rights and the liberties that we've grown to know. And it's not even just about Donald Trump. If he were to earn the vote of the American people to be president again, it is for whomever is the next Republican president of the United States to sit in the Oval Office. So let's just be clear. It's not just about Donald Trump. It is about the Republican person who will be nominated into office. But as it relates to education, it would incense just end the Department of Education as a whole. And what that would mean, it would mean that folks who grew up in public education, folks who enjoy the thought of resources and having programs to fund IEPs and providing books and resources to the children that need education, that will no longer be available for us. And so as it relates to the Black community, we won't be able to learn about the history of this country. 1619 is when the first Africans landed in the United States of America in Virginia, and you have many Trumpers in red states who are already implementing the removing of books and banning books. So if the Department of Education is no longer available to us, we will no longer have a history to really rely on. So it will take communities to teaching the importance of Black communities and Black enterprise. The Department of Education will no longer be available.
Let's get here, because I think we forgot how the school system was built off of the prison system.
No, we know
and how we have school buses, how we have the bell ringing, how we have the lunchrooms. So we want to talk about systemic racism. We can talk about how it was stemming for Black people, particularly how it is set up now in the school today. But let's go to this. I spoke today to a Black man, a married Black man with children, who said that the Project 25 was great for education. And this is the reason why. It restores conservative values, which our nation was established on in education. It eliminates critical race theory. We'll talk about that later. And left-wing indoctrination. It expands voucher programs to give parents the power to choose their children's school, not what the government does.
So now they like choice. At first, they don't want to talk about choice.
Title V reform. It comes in and protects fairness in women's sports by ensuring biological females compete in women's categories, which we should agree with that. It restores focus on academic excellence and removes equity-based policies that dilute standards. And it streamlines and prioritizes aid based on merit and future contributions to society, not just based on the color of one's skin. And so it returns the control, my last point, of the education to the states and local communities. There are 65% of American parents who support more school choice. So what is inside of Project 2025?
I can't wait.
What is inside of Project 2025 is way more important than just simply saying it's a racist thing and it's trying to stop people.
So if you want to, let's talk about race, because just last week, Donald Trump went on Fox Family and Friends. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. He went on to Fox News last week, Family and Friends, and one of the reporters told him or asked him a question about if a school were to talk about critical race theory or Black history in itself, would he not provide funding to that school?
He said
Donald Trump said that he would not support the school if they talk history.
Coming up next, find out what's been trending on social media, and we have the latest polls. Don't move. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back. Social media has been keeping us updated on the 2024 presidential election. Let's take a look at some of the most recent social media updates. Two pro-life college students from Wisconsin are speaking out after claiming they were mocked and pushed while protesting at a Vice President Kamala Harris rally on their campus last week. The students say they were simply doing God's work by sharing pro-life Christian messages during the event. Let's take a look.
We remember Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
With tensions running so high at political rallies, how do you think protests like these will influence the public's opinion on the abortion debate, Willie?
So I want to first make it very clear that I do believe in the First Amendment, which is for people to protest on no matter what side they are on. I've been part of protests where it is pro something, against it, and yes, it gets heated. Now, when I saw this at first, I did not want to believe this because as much as I'm not a supporter of Harris, but I just really found that to be something that, because I mean, she's been going to churches the last couple of Sundays, and I just find that, sometimes you got to stop and pause. I know it's easy for people to respond because you're like, okay, these people are coming against me. But in cases like this, that could have definitely, to me, turned off a lot of Christian supporters, even those who are Christian supporters that support her. Because when you say Jesus Lord, this is outside of your political realm. This is, that's just a true statement for those who are believers in that. But I think protests like this, long as it is calm, because I don't think they went with the intention to do any harm to VP Harris. They went to voice their stance when it dealt with pro-life issues, as she was mentioning there, and there's a heated discussion about abortion. So I just think that the whole thing was just about talking about, we want to say Jesus is Lord, and that they didn't say, you're going to hell, you're killing babies. It was none of that. It was just simply Jesus is Lord. So.
Okay. Shakia.
I was expecting him to say something totally different, but
you were ready for
I was ready, but I'm gonna dial it back. But I would have to agree. I support the First Amendment, freedom of speech. It was a peaceful protest compared to what we've seen at Donald Trump's rallies, where there were those who were opposing what he was saying, and they were either punched in the face. I remember back in 2016, there was a black guy at one of the rallies, and a white guy punched him in the face as he was exiting out of the auditorium. And on the microphone, Donald Trump said, you know what we would have did to guys like that? He would have been out of here in a stretcher. So it wasn't anything hostile like that. She took control of the room. She told him that you are at you're at the wrong rally in any sense. But Donald Trump has been courting white evangelicals for years. Like, this isn't the first time that we've seen folks come out in support of Donald Trump and being pro-choice. I think that each person on either side has a choice to make. And whether you subscribe to Christianity, whether you subscribe to Buddha or Allah, it does not matter. Like, whoever God you choose to serve, that is between you, your master, your God, and your partner. It shouldn't have any type of interference with the government, to my opinion. And I think everyone should just seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. And I solely believe that, so much so that I got it tatted on my arm. So that's all I got to say on that.
Anything else from you, Willie?
That's it.
Whoa! Listen to this. Nothing? Okay.
That's a first.
Right? On the other hand, when it comes to social media, we have seen countless stories online about how this election has put a strain on friendships, relationships, and even disrupted the workplace. This election has been so tense, we have seen separation between family and friends, all because of political views. Politics can really bring out the worst in people. Have either of you been experiencing this personally?
Ooh. I mean, there is a feature on social media that allows you to mute notifications or mute, folks who, during this time of year, I usually use that feature. I am not ashamed to say that. I have folks on both sides of the coin that would either flood my timeline with like hateful things or, I went to school with these people and I'm like, well, wait a minute, we were just on the same sports team. Like, do you not think my life is as, important as yours? And so there's been a lot of growth that I've had to do while being in politics. And you have to give grace to people. Folks vote according to their own convictions. And at the end of the day, when November 6th comes around, I still got to go to Thanksgiving with these people. Yep. I'm going to still see these people at the job. I'm going to still go grocery shopping with these folks. Yeah. And so you just got to pick your battles. Like, is this important? But I do think there should be a line, right? If it harms your safety, if it becomes like a safety issue, then that's when you have to be like, okay, I got to cut ties with you. But I'll defer to you.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, I've seen, I've had a lot, and I think, I've lost connections. I've lost financial support and things that I've done. I've been called coon. Got other names, I ain't gonna list them, but other names.
The guy from Django.
Django, got Django, Uncle Ruckus, or whatever his name is. So all of these things had come, all Oreo, all because of the fact that, I made this very clear. Me being a Republican it was far before even being aware of President Trump. So a lot of people just thinking, he just getting on the bandwagon. He just going, he a Trump's ass, whatever. But it's not true. That's something that I chose to do. My whole family is Democrats. And so imagine that conversation when you're sitting around Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I have definitely lost connections and friendships. I've had people that find out my political views and they instantly block me. So I think that we should be in this well-developed nation knowing how to get along with one another.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on that note, let's check in on the latest polls. As of October 21st, 2024, national polls show a tight race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Harris is currently at 48.4%, while Trump follows closely at 46.4%, both within a 3% margin of error. There is there is so much uncertainty among voters about who will win the 2024 election. Willie, what factors do you think will ultimately sway public opinion in the coming weeks?
To be honest with this, I think what's going to sway it, or even if it's going to be swayed, drastically like that, is just the person that's going to maintain the focus of community and quality of life for American people. That is what's going to sway. We have to get back to that. And I'm saying this for both sides, that we have to get back to hearing what matters to me, what matters to my community, what matters to my pockets. And if we get that, that's what's going to sway. Now, if we start going and work, because I think we should be passing out. Okay, you hate this person, you hate that person, you don't like it. All right, we 15 days now, so now it's time to get a plan. All the back and forth, that's over, because across the whole country, I believe everybody now is in early voting. And so there's no way that we should have time to waste. Votings are going in, there's nothing, you can't take it back.
Community and quality of life, that's a big deal for sure. Yes. Shakia.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, it takes two to tango, and we see this with the polls. Like, every day it's fluctuating, but it's within, small margins. Excuse me. And so I think if Kamala Harris continues to stick to her guns and hit the blue wall and, persuade voters who may be on the fence right now. I don't think many people are on the fence, to be quite honest. I just think everyone is just like, I'm ready for this to be over with.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think we all have that same type of like, Lord Jesus, just 15 more days. Yeah. But I think if the two parties continue to just keep the main thing, as Will was saying, like, we'll see who comes out on top at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, now, Shakia, we have like 2 weeks remaining until Election Day. So let's discuss the urgency of getting out to vote. The election will significantly shape our lives over the next 4 years.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. vote by mail is a real process that you can use. I know that the Republican Party has doubted and questions the certainty of our democracy when it comes to voting by mail, voting early, and voting in person. You can do all of those things. And so I encourage you all to research your supervisor of elections, figure out where your polling places are, cast your ballot, whether that's in person, whether you want to send it back in the mail, bring your IDs, because some states are now requiring you to do that in order to vote. If you are waiting in lines, you can stay in the lines until 7 p.m. Do not get out of the lines, but just make sure that you cast your vote. This is not an election that you can just sit out and twiddle your fingers. If you do that, then you have no place to say anything about the way this country is going on November 6th and 4th.
Will.
Voting is very important. So please, by all means, you got to get out and vote. And this is the pivotal part. Do not let voter apathy, I'm getting phone calls left and right of people just saying, hey, why should I?
Yes.
Is it going to count? Is it going to matter? And it is. Like in a race like this, not just for presidential, I want you to realize, guys, you guys live in whatever state that you're in, there are municipality races, there's local races, state, house, state. You need to vote for them, if nothing else, to make sure that we have local level government working for your behalf, on your behalf. So, presidential on down, this is a huge year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Bigly. Wow. So I had to throw that in there.
Child. Here we go. I thought we was going to end on a good note. Here we go.
I thought so too. Willie, don't mess it up for us, please. Wow. I mean, these two today, this has been quite a civil conversation.
Not us being Tim Walz and J.D. Vance on this stage.
Right. Thank you all so much for tuning into Americana. You can meet us right here tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Thank you for watching.